She called me Mom. Until she didn't. People say blood is thicker than water. But I never believed that. Not when I first held Lena's tiny hand. Not when I brushed the knots out of her hair. Not when I whispered, "I love you," into her sleeping ear at night. I wasn't her biological mother, but for the first 10 years of her life, I was everything. I met her father, Daniel, when Lena was just 5. He was a widower. Gentle, quite and kind in the way that makes you believe love can be soft. Lena clung to his leg the first time we met. Big brown eyes, messy curls, silent. But that silence broke within weeks. I brought her a stuffed fox on our 3rd meeting. She named it M, after me. That was the first time she called me something other than that lady. It took 6 months before she called me Mom. And when she did, I cried. I promised myself I would never make her feel second. Never make her feel like she was not mine. So I became the one who sat through her tantrums, stitched her costumes, stayed up all night when she had the flu. I packed her lunch with love notes, taught her to braid her hair, held her hand at every school drop-off like she was my own heartbeat. And she responded, with drawings, with hugs, with whispered secrets she didn't tell anyone else. We were whole, a little broken family sewn back together with time, effort, and unconditional love until she turned 16. That was when everything began to shift. At first, it was small. She stopped hugging me goodnight, stopped saying I love you when I tucked her in, stopped calling me Mom. It became Emery, then her, then sometimes just silence. I thought it was just teenage hormones, a phase. She was growing, pulling away. It hurt, but I gave her space. Daniel said not to worry. She'll come back around. You two have a bond I've never seen before. I believed him. Because I wanted to. Because I needed to. But the space between us kept growing. Like a wall I couldn't climb. She started slamming doors. Saying things like, "You're not my real mom. Stop pretending." Words that burned deeper than she could understand. Still, I kept showing up. Still packed her favorite snacks. Still waited outside dance practice, even when she ignored me the whole ride home. One night, she didn't come home. Daniel and I panicked. We called friends, neighbors. I stayed up refreshing the screen of her location tracker every 10 seconds. At 3 a.m., she walked in, calm as ever. Her eyes met mine. No guilt, no worry, just something cold. I was with Dad. We went out for dinner. He said he didn't want to wake you. I blinked. You could have texted, we were terrified. She shrugged. It's not like you're my mom anyway. That sentence? It ripped through me like a knife carved from every bedtime story, every scraped knee kiss, every, "I'm proud of you." Daniel stood behind her. He didn't say anything, just rubbed her shoulder. And for the first time in our marriage, I saw something, an unease, a tension. Like there was something going on between them that I wasn't allowed to touch anymore. From that night on, it got worse. Lena stopped looking at me entirely. She whispered to Daniel when I walked into rooms. She started dressing differently. More mature, more confident, more deliberate. And Daniel? He started pulling away too. Late nights at work, missed dinners, conversations with vague answers. I told myself I was imagining it, that I was insecure. Dramatic, lonely, until I found her sitting at my vanity, wearing my lipstick, spraying my perfume, looking at herself in the mirror like she was trying on my life. The distance that grew overnight. It's strange how distance doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it just slips in quietly. A skipped goodnight, a door that closes a little faster, a laugh shared between two people that no longer includes you. Daniel started coming home later. Work, he said, always work, except I stopped seeing meetings in his calendar, stopped finding receipts in his jacket pockets, stopped hearing the little details he used to offer without me even asking. It was as if his days had become sacred, but not to me. Lena changed too. She wore heels now, lipstick that matched mine, borrowed my scarves without asking. And when I tried to say something, she smirked like I was the guest in this house. It looks better on me anyway. Daniel didn't say a word. One night we were all at the dinner table, or rather they were. I had cooked, their favorite meal. But when I brought the plates out, Lena looked at it and laughed. "Didn't you know I'm vegan now?" I blinked. "Since when?" Daniel chimed in before she could answer. "It's a new thing. I've been helping her figure out recipes." I turned to him. "You've been cooking with her?" He shrugged. "It's just something we do after school. The time I used to spend with her. The space that was once mine." The next day, I went to wash her bed sheets and found a perfume bottle under her pillow. Mine. She'd taken it. Again, not just a spritz before school, but tucked it beside her like a secret. Like a scent she wanted to own. I stood in her room looking around. The stuffed fox I gave her years ago? Gone. The framed photo of the three of us at the beach? Replaced with one of just her and Daniel. They were smiling, Matching sunglasses, matching hats. Looking not like father and daughter, but like two people who had shut the world out and left me behind the door. That night, I asked Daniel if something was wrong, if maybe we needed to talk. He exhaled sharply. Why does everything have to be a problem with you lately? I stared. Me, I'm the one cooking, cleaning, worrying, and constantly accusing, he snapped. Lena appeared in the hallway. She leaned against the frame, arms crossed. Maybe you should try not being so desperate. The room went quiet. Daniel didn't scold her, didn't defend me. He just looked tired. I slept in the guest room that night, not because I was angry, but because I didn't know where I belonged anymore. Even Max, the family dog I raised since he was a puppy, stayed outside my door, whining, like even he didn't know which room to call home. The next morning, I found Lena at the kitchen counter, wearing one of my silk robes, drinking coffee from my favorite mug. She smiled when she saw me. Hope you don't mind. Daddy said I could borrow it. I said nothing, because the woman standing in front of me wasn't the little girl I once rocked to sleep. She was someone else now, someone who didn't want to share me, someone who wanted to be me. And slowly I realized, this wasn't teenage rebellion, this wasn't a phase, this was removal. Deliberate, quiet, complete. I was being erased. From the kitchen, from the bedroom, from the relationship I thought I had built with love. And the worst part? Daniel was letting it happen. When my husband started taking her side. It didn't happen in one loud fight, not in slammed doors or shouting matches. It happened in whispers behind closed doors, in exchanged glances, in decisions made without me. At first, I blamed stress. The world was messy, people were tired. But one day, I realized I was the only one tiptoeing. Daniel and Lena, they weren't. It began with the little things. He stopped asking if I'd eaten, stopped touching the small of my back when he passed me in the kitchen, stopped texting me those silly emojis we used to send during the day. Instead, he started saying things like, Lena's just going through a lot. Give her space. You're too hard on her. You overthink everything. And the more I spoke up, the more I became the problem. One night, I found Lena's report card on the table. 3 failing grades. I waited until dinner. Lena, we need to talk about school. You're falling behind. Before I could finish, Daniel cut in. Don't start tonight, Emery. I blinked. I'm not starting anything. I'm worried. She needs help. Lena leaned back in her chair, smug. Daddy said he'd get me a tutor. Did he? Yes, Daniel answered. Because I knew you'd overreact. My fork clattered onto my plate. Overreact? Since when is caring overreacting? He stood up. Since it's never enough for you. She's trying, can't you see that? Lena didn't say a word. She didn't need to, because she had already won. From that night on, every disagreement turned into a triangle. Me against them. I wasn't her mother anymore. I wasn't his partner anymore. I was the audience to a show I didn't buy tickets for. One morning, I asked Daniel if we could go away for the weekend. Just the 2 of us. Reconnect. He smiled faintly. Lena had already planned something for us. Us? Yeah, a father-daughter retreat. She signed me up. Without asking me? She wanted it to be a surprise. I didn't argue. I didn't scream. I just nodded. Because what do you say? When your husband cancels time with you to go on a weekend trip with the girl you once raised as your own? When they left, I sat on the edge of the bed. Max lay beside me, sensing the shift in air, the storm behind my silence. And for the first time, I wondered, what if this wasn't just neglect? What if this was intentional? The night they came back, I found their bags on the floor. Daniel in the shower. Lena brushing her hair in my bathroom. She smiled when I passed by. We had the best time. Daddy told me I'm the only woman who really gets him. My heart stopped. What did you just say? She looked at me in the mirror. You heard me. I walked out. Straight to Daniel. His towel draped around his waist. He looked surprised. Erit, did you say that to her? He blinked. Say what? That she's the only woman who understands you. He hesitated. Too long. It was just a moment. She was emotional. I was trying to comfort her. I stepped back. The words were simple. But what I saw in his eyes wasn't confusion. It was fear. Fear of a truth neither of us could say out loud. That he had given her more than a father ever should. That night I lay awake. Max at my feet, my chest hollow. The house was silent. But my mind screamed, what if I let into my home? I found her in my closet, wearing my perfume. They say a woman's closet is sacred. It holds her armor, her softness, the scent of who she is, woven into every blouse, every folded scarf, every forgotten heel tucked in a corner. So when I saw the door to my closet open that evening, a chill ran through me, because I always closed it. Always. The house was quiet. Daniel was out on a late meeting. Lena was supposed to be at her friend's. Max followed me down the hallway, his paws tapping lightly against the wood floor. I stepped into my room, then stopped. Frozen. Lena was standing in front of the mirror, wearing my black silk nightgown, spraying my perfume across her neck, the same scent I wore on the night Daniel proposed. She turned slowly, not startled, not ashamed, but confident, too confident. "I didn't hear you come in," she said, twirling slightly like she was on a stage. "That's mine," I said. My voice was low, controlled, terrified. She looked down at the gown, then back at me with a smile. "I know, it fits perfectly, doesn't it?" Max let out a quiet growl. I placed a hand on his head. "Take it off, Lena." She didn't move, didn't blink. Instead, she took a step forward. "You used to wear this every time he came home late, didn't you?" My mouth went dry. "You don't know what you're saying." "Oh, I do. I know exactly what I'm saying." She walked around me, slowly, calculated, like a predator circling prey. "I used to wonder why he looked at you the way he did. The softness in his voice, the way he laughed when you weren't even funny." She paused. "Now I know. Lena, I am your stepmother. I raised you. You raised me to want more, to know what elegance looked like, what power felt like. You showed me how a woman holds a house together, until the moment I realized." She leaned closer, whispered, "I could do it better." I stepped back, my body shaking. "You're a child," she laughed. "I'm everything you used to be, and everything you're too tired to be now." Daniel walked in at that moment. The door clicked open, his briefcase in hand, loosened tie. He stopped, looked at her, looked at me, and he didn't speak, didn't scold her, didn't protect me, just stood there, frozen, caught. "Tell her to take it off," I said quietly. Still nothing. "Daniel, now." He looked at Lena, then me. "She's confused, Emery. She's just going through something." "You think this is confusion?" I snapped. "She's in my gown, my perfume, my life." Lena stepped between us. "Maybe if you hadn't let yourself fade, he wouldn't have noticed me." Daniel reached for her arm. She jerked away. "Don't pretend you didn't enjoy it. Don't pretend you didn't watch me become her." I turned to Daniel, the man I once trusted, once loved. "Tell me the truth. Has anything happened between you two?" He looked down. "No, of course not." But his voice cracked, and his eyes didn't meet mine. That was enough. Enough to break me. Enough to burn everything I had once believed in. I walked to the closet, grabbed a suitcase, started packing. "You're leaving?" Daniel asked. "No," I said. I turned slowly. "You are, both of you." Lena laughed, mocking, cold. "You think you still have control?" "No," I whispered. "I have something better. I have clarity." That night, I slept in the guest room. Max curled around me like a shield. And for the first time, I didn't cry. Because when someone tries to wear your skin, it means they'll never truly have your soul. The texts I was never meant to see. I didn't mean to find them. I wasn't snooping. At least that's what I told myself. But when trust dies, curiosity becomes survival. And that night, survival was all I had left. Daniel was asleep. Lena was out with friends. The house was still, too still. Max lay beside me, restless. I stared at the ceiling, a knot tightening in my chest. Then I got up, walked quietly to Daniel's office. His laptop sat on the desk, still open, still unlocked. I hesitated. My heart begged me not to look, but my gut whispered, "The truth is already here. You're just pretending not to see it." I clicked the Messages app, and everything changed. The first text was from Lena. "Can't sleep, thinking about you again." Timestamp, 11:37 p.m. The night after the retreat. Daniel's reply, "You know I shouldn't be reading this, but I miss our talks too." And diarm. Another one a week later. "She wore that blue dress today. You said it looked better on me, remember?" His reply, "You make everything look better." My hands went cold. I scrolled. The texts weren't explicit. No outright confession, but they dripped with implication. Flirting, late-night check-ins, inside jokes I'd never heard. She once texted, "Wish you were in my bed instead of hers." He replied, "Stop it, you're making it hard to be good." And there it was, the confirmation, the emotional affair, the crossed lines, the invisible thread between them that had grown into a rope, tight enough to hang my marriage from. But it wasn't just that. There were screenshots, photos, Lena in my clothes, selfies in my mirror, captioned, "Getting closer every day." She sent it to Daniel. He replied, "You're going to drive me crazy." I couldn't breathe. I stood up, phone in hand. Max whined softly. I walked to the bedroom, stared at Daniel, sleeping, peacefully, while I shattered in silence. I didn't wake him, didn't scream. I walked out, sat on the porch, called my sister, told her everything. The next morning I waited until Lena left for school, waited until Daniel came downstairs. He rubbed his eyes, smiled faintly. "Morning." I didn't smile back. I placed his laptop on the table, opened the screen, clicked the messages icon, watched his face pale. Emery? Just don't. I turned the screen toward him. Is this your definition of fatherhood? He opened his mouth, closed it again. You didn't stop her? I said. You encouraged it. She's confused. She's your daughter, Daniel. And you let her become something else in this house. And worse, you let me stand here and question my own worth while you two played your little game behind my back. He reached for me. Max barked. Hard. Sharp. Daniel flinched. I never meant for it to go this far, but you let it, didn't you? Silence. Heavy. Final. I turned away. I'm done, Daniel. I'm not just walking out of this marriage, I'm rescuing myself from it. That night, I packed a bag. Max followed me to the door. Daniel didn't stop me. He just sat on the couch, holding his head in his hands. Maybe he finally felt what I'd been feeling for months. Maybe not. Either way, I was done feeling small in a house I built with love. He chose her and left me. The hardest part of being betrayed isn't the lie itself. It's the moment you realize they knew you'd hurt and did it anyway. I left the house. Took Max, took nothing else. Not because I wanted to leave, but because I wanted to see what Daniel would do when I did. The next day, I didn't hear from him. Not a call, not a message, not a single word asking where I was. Instead, I saw Lena post a picture. At my kitchen table, eating pancakes, captioned, "Family breakfast, just the two of us now." My stomach twisted. She had claimed my seat, my table, my husband. And he let her. I tried to tell myself it was a phase, that surely he would come to his senses. But deep down, I already knew. A week passed. I didn't go home, stayed at my sister's. Tried to eat, tried to sleep. Tried to pretend that I wasn't waiting for a phone to ring. It never did, until it finally did. An unknown number. I picked up. Emery? Daniel's voice. Hollow, tired. Yes, I think it's best if you don't come back. I went silent. He continued. This isn't working. You've made your feelings clear. And Lena needs me right now. Lena needs you? I whispered. She's hurt, confused. Hurt? My voice cracked. She's in my clothes, in my space, sending you texts that no child should send and you're still protecting her? Silence. She's your daughter, Daniel, not your replacement wife. His breath hitched. Then he said the words I never thought I'd hear. Maybe we're better off like this. I dropped the phone. Literally dropped it. Like my body couldn't hold one more betrayal. Max nuzzled my leg, whining. He knew. Dogs always do. My sister held me that night as I cried. Not loud, not wild. Just broken, like glass cracking quietly under pressure. The next day I went back, not to fight, not to beg, but to collect my things. When I walked in, Lena was in the living room, wearing one of my blazers. She smiled. Guess Daddy made his choice. I looked her in the eye, not with anger, but with something colder. You didn't win, Lena. You just broke the only person who ever loved you like a mother. And that's something no perfume, no outfit, no stolen man can ever fix. She didn't respond, just sat back on the couch. Triumphant, empty. Daniel came down the stairs. Didn't look me in the eye. Didn't say hello. Just handed me a box. I packed some of your stuff. I took it. No tears this time. No emotion. Because the woman who once cried for this house was no longer standing here. I walked out without saying goodbye. Didn't turn back. Didn't pause. Because when someone you love makes their choice, you don't stay and try to change it. You walk away and start choosing yourself. The day I was erased from my own home, I came back for the last of my things. Just a few books, some framed photos, an old cardigan I couldn't leave behind. Nothing much, but enough to remind me I had once belonged here. Daniel said he wouldn't be home. Lena neither. I was grateful, because grief is easier when it doesn't look you in the eye. Max stayed in the car. I left the window cracked. He'd seen too much already. The key still worked. A surprise. I turned it slowly. The lock clicked like a whisper that had already moved on. The house smelled different. Not bad, just unfamiliar. No trace of my candles, no lavender diffuser. Just the scent of expensive soap and something floral I didn't recognize. I walked into the living room first. The photo wall was gone. Where once were memories, our wedding, birthdays, Lena in pigtails hugging me tight, now hung abstract art. Muted, cold, like me. I moved into the kitchen. My favorite mug? Gone. My handwritten recipe cards? Tossed. In their place, Lena's ceramic cup with a gold L, and a note stuck to the fridge. Don't forget almond milk for her smoothie. Her, capitalized. Branded. I went upstairs. Into the bedroom I once called mine. The bed had new sheets, silk, deep red. I used to sleep on soft gray cotton. Comfort, not seduction. I didn't want to imagine who had picked the new set, but I didn't need to. A strand of Lena's hair sat on the pillow. Long, dark, curled. I walked into the closet. Half empty. The other half, no longer his. Dresses, blouses, heels. Hers. I recognized a scarf I gave her when she was 12. She never wore it back then. Said it made her feel too grown up. Now, it was draped proudly beside a designer purse I knew she couldn't afford on her own. I stepped back. My chest tightened. Not from jealousy, but from something deeper. Something like being ghosted by your own life. Then I saw it. The worst part. My old family photo. The one of the three of us at the lake. It used to sit on the hallway table. Now, it was still there, but folded, bent, tucked behind a newer frame. A picture of just Daniel and Lena, smiling, matching sunglasses, looking like a couple. I stared at it, and for a second, I forgot how to breathe. Because this wasn't just betrayal. This was erasure. I hadn't been replaced. I'd been rewritten, like a chapter no one wanted to remember. I grabbed my things, didn't cry, didn't speak, just walked out. One last glance back, and I closed the door. This time, for good. Max wagged his tail when I slid into the car. He didn't ask questions. He didn't need to. He just laid his head on my lap as if to say, whatever they took from you, they can't take me. I saw her smile at my pain. Grief doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just watches from the window, hides in the silence, and bleeds through a smile that was never meant for you. It was a Sunday. 3 weeks since I left the house. 3 weeks since I heard Daniel's voice. 3 weeks since Lena's last smirk haunted my dreams. I was walking Max through the neighborhood. Our usual route. Same trees, same turns, same memories. I told myself I'd stop walking past the old house. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself I was stronger than curiosity. I lied. We turned the final corner. And there it was. Our home. Only it wasn't ours anymore. It looked brighter, louder, decorated for summer. Fairy lights on the porch. Wind chimes. Flower pots with pink lilies. Lena's favorite. Not mine. Then I saw them. On the front steps. Daniel. Lena. She was in a white dress, mine actually, tied with a belt to make it fit tighter. She laughed, leaned her head on his shoulder. He was holding a glass of wine. They looked happy, unbothered, like they hadn't just torn someone's life in two. I froze. Max stopped beside me, sensing the tension. I wasn't close enough to hear their words, but I didn't need to, because then she turned and saw me. Our eyes locked, just for a second. And then she smiled, not the innocent kind. Not the kind you give someone you used to love, but the kind that says, I took it all. And you can't do a thing about it. It was a victory smile. Cold, calculated, cruel. Daniel didn't look up. He was too busy watching her. Too busy being hers. I turned away, walked faster. Max struggled to keep up. The tears didn't fall right away. They built, burned, boiled under the skin, until I collapsed onto a bench, face buried in my hands. How did we get here? How did the girl I once taught to ride a bike learn how to ride over my heart instead? Back at my sister's, I went straight to the bathroom. Looked at myself in the mirror. I didn't recognize the woman staring back. Eyes hollow, skin pale, heart missing. But then something shifted. Not in my body, in my mind. Because suddenly, I realized, if she could smile at my pain, then I would smile at her defeat. Not with cruelty, not with revenge, but with rebirth. They stole my family, but they didn't steal me. And now, I would take that back. All of me. Piece by piece, memory by memory, strength by strength. Until one day, when they looked at me again, they'd know they didn't win. They only delayed my glow. The woman I became without them, they thought I'd fall apart. They thought I'd hide, break, beg, disappear. And for a while, they were right. But grief is a visitor, not a tenant. And one day, I woke up and it was gone. It started with a haircut, just a few inches. But when I looked in the mirror, something shifted. The woman staring back wasn't Emery the wife or Emery the mother. She was Emery the woman, the one who had survived the unimaginable and still stood. I went through the house I now lived in, my sister's guest room, and packed away everything I didn't need. Not just clothes or pictures, but guilt, shame, silence. I opened a blank journal, wrote 3 words on the first page. I am rebuilding. And so I did. I started small. Morning walks with Max became sacred. We discovered new routes. New parks, new smells, new beginnings. Then I applied for a job again. I hadn't worked in years, but the woman at the bookstore smiled when she saw my resume. You have warmth, she said. We need that more than experience. I started that Monday, stacking books, helping little girls find their next favorite story. And somehow, healing a little girl inside me too. I painted my nails again. Red, bold, alive. I smiled at strangers, wrote affirmations on sticky notes, put one on the mirror. You are not what they left. You are what survived. I deleted Daniel's number, blocked Lena's Instagram, not out of hate, but because I no longer needed to track the shadows that used to haunt me. I was chasing the sun now. One afternoon, a customer walked in. An older woman. She looked at me and paused. Are you Emery Calloway? I blinked. Yes? She smiled gently. I'm Micah's grandmother, from Lena's biological mother's side. I froze. Micah? I asked. Yes, she said. Lena's half-brother. She doesn't speak to that side of the family anymore. But I remember how kind you were to him when he was younger. I felt tears sting. Thank you, I whispered. She reached over and touched my hand. Don't ever think what you gave wasn't real. That night, I sat with Max under the stars. The breeze was soft, my chest lighter, and for the first time since it all fell apart, I felt proud. Not of what had happened, but of who I was becoming despite it. They had taken the house, the title, the illusion of family, but they never touched my soul. And now, I was building a new one. With books, with words, with walks in the park, with real laughter. With Max. The woman I became without them, she wasn't broken. She was reborn. She took my family, but I took back myself. They kept the house, the routine, the Sunday pancakes, the photo wall. But I kept something better. Myself. I no longer walked past their street. I didn't check social media. Didn't wonder what they were doing. Because I knew whatever they had, it wasn't peace. People ask me if I ever saw them again. The answer is yes. Once. It was almost a year later. I was walking home from the bookstore with Max. The spring air carried the smell of tulips, his favorite to sniff. We passed the new gelato shop, and there they were, Daniel and Lena, sitting outside. Not talking, not touching, just staring at their phones. Daniel looked up first. His eyes met mine. There was no fire, no anger, just regret. Lena looked too. She froze. And for the first time, her smile didn't come. She saw me, dressed in confidence, glowing in quiet freedom, walking beside the only one who'd never left me. She opened her mouth like she might say something. I nodded once, polite, and kept walking. Because there are some wars you win simply by surviving. When I got home, I lit a candle, made tea, sat by the window. Max curled beside me, warm and content. I pulled out my journal, wrote one final entry. I was erased, I was betrayed, I was left behind. But I rose, I grew, I returned to myself, and now I don't want my old life back. I've built something stronger, something sacred, something mine. They can have the memories, the pictures, the stories they rewrote, but they'll never touch the woman I became, because she is untouchable. To anyone who's ever been replaced, you weren't discarded, you were redirected to a life they couldn't survive in, to a strength they never imagined you had. Let them go. Let them win their illusion. Because you're busy becoming something they can never steal. Some people leave scars, others leave lessons. Burn and reborn stories that break you, then rebuild you.